We always warned that there would be a push for polygamy and polyamory once the definition of marriage had been changed. The push has always come from the media, but now it's starting to come from the health sector. You know, the argument has always been that once you redefine something like marriage, once you redefine it, then it will just keep on being redefined because human rights says that why should anybody be excluded? It's called marriage equality. And so the media has been very strong on this. They've been pushing the theme around polygamy and polyamory. Let's have a look at some examples. In New Zealand Herald, I've been polyamorous for nearly a decade. Here's how it works. Thanks for the advice. The Radio New Zealand is polyamory on the rise. New Zealand Herald, I live in a threesome. Here's how it works. Stuff website, 3 isn't a crowd as polyamory gets popular. Radio New Zealand did a feature on Centrepoint and they featured people who don't live a monogamous life. In fact, they're more honest if they admit that they don't live a monogamous life and talk about polyamory Aotearoa Facebook page. And the Harvard Law today, they actually did a whole feature on polyamory and the law and the need for the law to change. News Hub, the project, they did a feature on it a couple of years ago, and they talked about how does dating multiple partners work with this lovely video feature and an interview.
Polyamory is about having more than one romantic partner. In some cases, you may have 3 partners in the same triangular relationship, but it could be even more than that. It might also be that you have partners that the rest of your relationship aren't involved with, but some arrangements don't allow this. Overall, it's about ensuring everyone is on the same page. I sat down with some polyam people this morning. Describe your relationship to me.
We're a triad, so I'm dating both of them and they're also dating each other.
When you're in a triad, there's not just one relationship, which is everyone. I have a relationship with Bernie. Bernie has a relationship with Gabby. Gabby has a relationship with me. And then we have a relationship together.
Okay, triad, interesting terms coming out, but it's all very nice promotion, isn't it? But that's the project. You're probably not surprised that the project might cover stuff like that. But hey, Radio New Zealand, not to be outdone, on their program they called The Wireless, they put together this lovely video promo as well, documentary talking about the benefits of polyamory.
I state it very clearly that I'm poly, and that for people who don't know what that is, please look that up before you even think about engaging with me, because otherwise, I don't want you to waste your time or mine. So there's that, and it's one of the reasons that I started the Polyamory New Zealand Facebook group, because I want to create that community in New Zealand for people who are.
Oh yes, the Facebook page being promoted there. I had a look and there weren't too many associated with that page, but that's okay. That's all part of the normalisation that Radio New Zealand is doing. Now, remember, at the time of the same-sex marriage debate, we were told that it was completely dishonest to be saying that there would be demands for polygamy, polyamory after the law was changed. No, that was complete rubbish. But of course, the hints have been there. In 2017, the Ministry of Social Development said that a second wife in a polygamous marriage may be entitled to a sole parent benefit. And it was after a recent case of the Pakistani-born man. He was jailed for a year for beating one of his wives with a hammer because she complained that he was holding hands with his other wife. And we actually asked what the Ministry of Social Development, what their policy was around that. In 2014, it was revealed that Auckland ratepayers were subsidising an event promoting polyamory for those who wanted to relate to more than one partner and non-monogamous marriages. Now, the event actually received an Auckland Council grant from the Community Development and Safety Committee entitled Poly Panels, Discussions Around Queer Polyamory, a one-day event exploring a framework of ethical, healthy polyamory relationships. And in the advertising blurb, it said there has been much queer discussion about maintaining our authentic relationship choices since the recent marriage amendment law. Along with questioning heteronormativity, many LGBTI people question monogamous marriages and relationships. This event, sponsored by the council and you as a ratepayer, hopes to break down some of the isolation and misunderstanding that sometimes surrounds non-monogamous and polyamorous relationships. Well, that's been mainly in the media. But the latest example was just this week, and it comes from the GP Pulse, which is the magazine that goes to the Royal New Zealand College of GPs, 5,000 of them. So this is in the health sector, and this is an article about a midwife who runs a practice dedicated to providing quality and compassionate care to LGBTQIA+, because apparently their birth experience is different. Well, it's not, but they would say it is. And she says at the time there were several articles about a trans man who had given birth in Auckland. The homophobic rhetoric in the news was just horrendous. Well, it's not homophobic. A trans man giving birth doesn't actually make factual biological sense. Only women can give birth. But of course, it's very unpopular to say that. You could get cancelled, but that's the facts. And it goes on to saying that they need to change the language of pregnancy and birth from gendered to neutral terms, providing welcoming spaces and non-gendered bathrooms. She says language is such a big part of it. I always use parent, pregnant person, or birthing person rather than mother. In written text, I refer to partners to ensure the polyamorous community feel included. Now remember, this is in the major magazine of the Royal New Zealand College of GPs. This is the normalisation of polyamorous, polygamous relationships coming through in the health sector. And look, our basic argument is simply this. If you define marriage once, what is to stop it being redefined again? If you only allow same-sex marriage, if you only change the requirement on gender on the basis of love and human rights, this then opens the door for those arguing for polygamous and group marriage. Because why would discrimination against these loving adults be okay? I mean, how can you be so bigoted and phobic against group marriage? Now, like Louisa Wall, you'll say, well, it's illegal, Bob. Maybe illegal now, but it wasn't that long ago that same-sex marriage was illegal also. You see, it's all about marriage equality. Love is love, apparently. Well, we know it's not. We know marriage is one man, one woman. But expect marriage numbers to grow, but not in the way it should be. Let me leave you with one of the comments from the Radio New Zealand documentary. We're warning you, but they actually back up our warning. Have a listen.
It would be great to see poly relationships be able to have some kind of legal status. And I don't know how far away that is. And even when the gay marriage law reforms were coming in, people were saying, well, what's going to be next? Marrying more than one person? It's like, yeah, maybe.